Once upon a time, in a quiet kingdom covered in snow, a kind queen sat by her window, sewing beside a black wooden frame. As she worked, she pricked her finger, and 3 small drops of blood fell onto the white snow outside the window. She looked at the red drops on the snow and softly whispered, "I wish for a daughter, with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony wood." Her wish soon came true. The queen gave birth to a beautiful baby girl with skin as white as snow, rosy lips, and silky black hair. They named her Snow White. Sadly, not long after, the queen passed away, and the king, heartbroken, eventually married again. The new queen was very beautiful, but also cold, proud, and full of jealousy. She owned a magic mirror, and every day she would ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror would always answer, "You are the fairest, my queen." This pleased the queen until one day the mirror gave a different answer. "My queen, you are fair, it's true, but Snow White is fairer than you." The queen's heart filled with jealousy. She ordered a huntsman to take Snow White into the forest and never bring her back. But the kind huntsman couldn't harm the gentle girl. Deep in the woods, he let her go, telling her to run far and never return. Snow White, scared and alone, ran through the trees, the wind brushing her cheeks, birds flying overhead, and shadows dancing on the ground. At last, as the sky turned orange with sunset, she found a tiny cottage hidden among tall trees. Everything inside was small and tidy. 7 tiny chairs, 7 tiny plates, and 7 little beds. Exhausted, Snow White curled up across the beds and fell fast asleep. That evening, 7 dwarfs returned home from working in the mountains. Each one was different. Sunny, who always smiled; Grumble, who liked to complain but had a kind heart; Blinky, who blinked often and made everyone laugh; Wise, who loved reading books; Tumble, who tripped over everything; Chatter, who talked all day; and Nibbles, who loved snacks. When they saw Snow White sleeping, they whispered in surprise, "Who is she? She looks like a princess." Snow White woke up and told them her story. The dwarfs listened carefully and then nodded. "You may stay here with us," said Wise, "but be careful. Don't open the door to strangers." From then on, Snow White lived happily with the 7 dwarfs. She cooked delicious meals, kept the house clean, and sang songs while birds chirped at the window. Back at the castle, the queen again asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied, "You are fair, my queen, it's true. But Snow White, living with the dwarfs beyond the mountains, is fairer still than you." The queen turned red with anger. She disguised herself as a traveling woman selling ribbons and went deep into the forest. When she knocked on the dwarf's cottage, Snow White peeked through the window. "I'm not supposed to let strangers in." "That's all right, sweet girl," the woman smiled. "I only wish to give you this beautiful ribbon." It was bright and shiny. Snow White opened the door just a little The woman quickly tied the ribbon around Snow White's waist and pulled it tight, so tight that Snow White fainted. But soon the dwarfs came home, saw what happened, and untied the ribbon. Snow White took a deep breath and woke up. The queen tried again. This time she returned with a beautiful wooden comb. It was carved with tiny flowers and painted gold. Snow White, again tempted, opened the window to take a look. The disguised queen gently combed her hair, just once, before Snow White dropped to the ground, fast asleep. But when the dwarfs returned, they quickly pulled out the comb, and Snow White opened her eyes. "You must be more careful," said Sunny. Snow White promised to never open the door again. Still angry, the queen made a final, wicked plan. She used her magic to create a poisoned apple. One half was normal, the other half was cursed to put anyone who bit it into a deep, endless sleep. Disguised as a sweet old woman with a basket of apples, she knocked again. "No, I mustn't open the door," Snow White said. "Oh, that's all right," the woman smiled. "I'll just eat a piece myself. See? The old woman took a bite from the safe side of the apple and handed the other half to Snow White. It looked so shiny, so delicious. Snow White took a small bite and at once fell to the floor, eyes closed, not moving. When the dwarfs came home, they were heartbroken. No comb, no ribbon could help. She wasn't breathing, but her face still glowed like she was only sleeping. They gently placed her in a glass coffin, surrounded her with flowers, and kept watch every day, hoping she would one day wake up. One peaceful morning, many months later, a prince from a nearby kingdom rode through the forest. He had heard stories of a princess with snow-white skin sleeping in a glass coffin. When he found her, his heart was touched. She looked peaceful, gentle, and full of light. "Who is she?" he asked. "Wise," the dwarf answered. "She is Snow White. We loved her dearly, but she was tricked by a wicked queen." The prince knelt beside the coffin. "May I take her to my palace?" he asked. "I promise to honor her and guard her forever." The dwarfs saw the love and kindness in his eyes. They agreed. But as the prince's guards lifted the coffin, one of them stumbled. The movement caused the piece of poisoned apple stuck in Snow White's throat to fall out. And then Snow White opened her eyes. Everyone gasped with joy. The birds sang louder. The sun seemed to shine more brightly. The prince gently helped her stand. "You are safe now," he whispered. Snow White smiled. "Thank you. I feel like I've been asleep for a long time." Soon after, the prince and Snow White were married in a joyful celebration. The seven dwarfs stood proudly beside her, dressed in their best clothes, with shiny shoes and colorful hats. Everyone in the kingdom rejoiced. As for the wicked queen, when she asked her mirror once more, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" the mirror replied, "You, dear queen, are fair. It's true. But the new queen, Snow White, is fairer than you." The queen was never seen again. Moral of the story. This tale teaches us that true beauty comes from a kind and loving heart, not from appearance or pride. Jealousy and cruelty may cause harm, But in the end, kindness, friendship, and love will always shine brighter. Even in dark times, we should never lose hope, because love, like light, can bring anyone back from the deepest sleep.